My AI trading bot is ready to go, able to identify patterns. The only thing we need to do is connect it to a database. Let's do that. Boom. Right here, we're going to definitely set up everything that we got going on. And what I want to show you is this is the tools that we're using. And this is what it looks like right now. We have our core central engine set up, ready to go. It identifies patterns, it identifies the market, it goes through 10 years of market data to make sure that it does this. And we're using Claude Desktop as our manager with Claude Skills. Now, have you heard of Claude Skills? Have you tried to implement Claude Skills yet? Because it's awesome. All right. Now, I do have one thing that I want to show you. I'm going to show you a few things here to my workflow so that way you understand how I'm working through some of the projects. But I definitely have the MCP that gives you access, that gives access to the file system. So Claude Desktop itself has access to the file system, right? And what I do is I give access to this directory, the project that I'm working on, and it's able to understand and confirm things. However, sometimes there's problems and the file might be too large and it doesn't even know how to get there. So I want to build a skill for it. So let's do that. I want to build a skill that allows it to be efficient at looking through a directory folder. So
I have a project, right? Where the folder might be over 1 megabyte and MCP file system is not able to access it at that point. So I want to add a skill to my Claude Desktop so we can make sure Claude Desktop is efficient when it has to look through a directory. All right. The skill will be installed. This is important to clarify, super important, but let's just go ahead and say it right here. I'm giving you the bolts and nuts so that way you can build your own prompt, okay? And obviously, don't pay attention to my spelling, just go for it, okay? The skill will be installed in Claude Desktop specifically, so focus on doing the research for that and build the .md file, zip file, for me to upload.
okay. So obviously, this kind of already gives you some sort of preview as to what you need to know to set this up. And that's the main thing. You need to make sure that there is an MD file and that MD file is set up properly, and it's trying to go through some directories to see how to set up skills. And I'm going to stop it real quick and I'm just going to specify go through the documentation online on how to set up the skill for Claude Desktop, not Claude Code, which is another thing that you can do. You can definitely use Claude Code, and I have it right here, Claude Code open, and you can set up instead a folder within your file structure, and you'll be able to also set up Claude Skills right through there. But in reality, I want my project manager to be able to access it, not the project right here, because the project I already know it has access to all of these files. Obviously, he created all of them and he set all of these up. So what I really want is somebody else, say my project manager here in Claude Desktop, to actually verify. So that way it's actually like a different entity that you really have set up there to make sure that it can check on those files, to confirm things, to come up with other different solutions, come up with questions for us to be able to really debug and understand. So that's really why we're doing this, because this skill, what it really allows me to do, and it opens the door for me in a better way, is for me to be able to debug my project way better. Instead of me having to give Claude Desktop all the context and everything that might be going on at a time where I might be having a problem and I'm not understanding, or I'm not really able to come up with a solution and we've been on a loop, this is what you do. You're able to really bring your project manager into the conversation 100% by connecting the file system, by connecting it to the database, and by having the skills to be able to implement everything that we have going on. So over here, as you can see, It's understanding the challenge. It understands a comprehensive skill for Claude Desktop that helps efficiently navigate large directories without hitting MCP file systems of 1 MB. I'm telling you that's key, because once you have a project, especially if it's a front end type of project where it's a website and there's just a lot of files, there's a lot of TypeScript, there's a lot of functionality to the site itself, you're not going to be able to use your file system MCP to properly debug some of the things that you might need to debug, and you might be on a loop. Awesome. So after 24 steps over here and being able to verify the documentation, we are getting some good stuff over here. We're getting an MD with an actual quick installation guide. So even if you need some help on actually installing it, you got some help right here. So we got some good stuff. Installation guide. It's in a certain format. I do want to go ahead and open this Windows Explorer for myself, just so I can see where it's putting the file together and put it in my download folder. And it's called Efficient Directory Navigation. Efficient Directory Navigation. I like that name. Let's go with that. I'm going into my settings now. You're going to have to go to your settings. You're going to go into capabilities, and under capabilities right here, you have skills. You want to go ahead and upload. You want to go ahead and look for that skill. So in your download folder or wherever you put it, just go ahead and make sure you put it there. And as you can see, now we officially have it. It's skill, Efficient Directory Navigation. Navigate and analyze large directories greater than 1 MB efficiently using the MCP file system. Used when working with large code bases, projects with many files, or with file system. Amazing. We have it set up. Great. Good to go. So what is one of the most important things that we need to do here is that when we're working with Claude Desktop, we are working with our project manager, right? So we do want to go ahead and create a project, and inside the project, you want to make sure that you have instructions. And I'm going to go ahead and show you, and I'm going to share with you guys these instructions as they are very key, important for everything that we do. So cross-project communication protocol is part of the instructions. This is a 6-party system structure. It includes myself, and it includes 6 other members that are, you can say, my development team. And this is how I'm able to put everything together and put my whole structure, right? So it knows how the communication goes, who talks to who, and where things go. So you're definitely more than welcome to review this, but you always want to put it into your instructions here, right? So from here, this is now a little bit more straightforward. I'm gonna go ahead and see what's going on now with our skill, right? As we have it activated, I'm gonna go ahead and actually go into the project that it has the same instructions, but it's related to this project specifically now. And we are going to make sure that we can make this happen here for everything. So what is it that we want to do? We want to move in now that we have our tools set up. We have our root code, we have our Visual Studio Code, and we have our project manager here, Claude Desktop, with the instructions. It has the instructions set up. It has the MCP server set up, and it has the skill set up. Now we're ready to go, right? So this is what I'm looking for.
I'm looking to make sure that our project is connected with Supabase database, and that we are able to use it for saving our data and to help us with our calculations. Can you look into directory for me and see how everything is working? Right? The directory name is, in this case, collapse. You have access to it. Right? And we want to make sure that everything looks good with that. Can you look into the directory and see everything's working? Directory name is collapse. You have access to it. Everything is connected with Supabase. One thing I can definitely clarify for you is that our database in Supabase is fully clean and there is nothing there. Okay? One of the things about this project is that it was already connected with the database, right? So you should know that the project was connected to the database before in Supabase, but that was completely wiped. New version of that EMB file has correct and current database, which, as I mentioned, is clear. All right.
So let's see how this goes. It should understand definitely which file, which folder does it need to go to. And it should be able, Claude wants to list, so it's going to check on that folder specifically real quick. And here we have it, builds collapse. It checks that out. And now it's gonna actually go through that through the directory tree. And as you can see right here, we hit the tool result is too large, maximum size 1 megabyte. So now it's actually trying to call the directory again. Let's see how it does it this time. And we are going to make sure the project is now going to be able to see everything that's going on in there. It's going to be able to check the file. You see, it's checking through the back dustbin. I can see there's a database directory. Let me check. So it's seeing some of the things that was connected to the database before. And the only reason why I'm doing this, we're not going to finish the project here. We're not going to go through everything and we're going to have a full-on project here. What I want to show you is my workflow. What you need to learn from this, it's definitely our workflow, right? How are we putting our systems together and how are they talking to each other to make sure that we can take the project forward, right? So again, we have Claude Desktop and we have VS Code as our fundamental tools, right? Inside VS Code, we have root code to be able to help us with our development team, right? And inside Claude Desktop, we have the file system connected to the MCP, and now we have the skills added into it. So that way you can actually perform this amazing task in a very specific way and not different every time. Because if this wasn't the case and you had no skill set up, it would try to read the directory. It will read the directory almost every time, but it's always going to do it in a different way. And you're never really going to know 100% the outcome of it. So if you do this and you actually set up skills and you actually set up instructions for your projects, then you're going to be able to get the same result almost every time. And that is what you're looking for, because you want to make sure that you know what you're putting in to make sure that you know what you're getting out every time. That way you don't waste time. That way you don't have to iterate. That way you don't have to try to reinvent the wheel to get some sort of application done. All right. So this is amazing. As you can see, it's saving me a lot of time. It's obviously taking a little while as we are obviously seeing it perform, but in the end, it saves you so much time because you will have to bring your project manager a lot less context for it to do what we need it to do, right? In this case, obviously, we're just trying to make sure that we connect again to our Supabase database, and it's understanding everything. It was looking for SQL files. It's not going to find any SQL files because obviously that's all part of our Supabase database. So we don't really have SQL files in here. Everything that we have in SQL was run through Supabase directly. So definitely going through the whole project here, as you can see. Interesting, there are backfill scripts. See, it's finding some of the scripts that were part of the project before. Backfill completed, so there's no schema initialization schema initialization. It's definitely looking for that, and that's one thing that I know about this project that is going to be a little tricky to bring it back, because it was using the database before to do the calculations. So because we don't have that database anymore, it doesn't really have the same power to do the calculations right now. But as soon as we connect it back to a database, and pretty much that means that once we connect again a brain to it, so that way it actually has a place to save and a place to see the specific numbers, the specific things that it was using to calculate, then it will be able to get the calculations going and really have a pattern that's going on 100% here. The time that we were doing it, we were getting thousands of patterns, and I was able to get a lot of testing probabilities, and it was an amazing thing. I will say that this is very related at this point with quantum trading and quantum programming. And once you start seeing these structures, with the central engine inside, with engines as such an async writer or GPU pipeline, pattern generators. This is obviously a little bit more specific to this project, but a GPU pipeline, an async writer, we have a central logger. When you are dealing with quantum, you're dealing with centralized engines with some sort of collapse architectures in such ways, right? So we got the summary here, analyze summary of review collapse directory structure. And here's what I found. Supabase client implementation exists. So the Supabase client implementation does exist. Again, the critical gap is definitely that we had sub elements, that we had elements, pattern results, and pattern test tables that were created in our database before, but there's no schema creation at this point anymore, and there's no SQL. So I already knew that because I was already building the project already, of course. But as you can see, I didn't have to tell it none of that. And obviously, all of these things would have been really hard to share in very specific details to know specifically what's going on through the code and everything. And in this way, Claude Desktop was able to truly understand absolutely everything that's going on in the project. We were able to really use the skill that we were able to set up for ourselves right now. It was able to really build a lot of context for it. And now I can go on here and I can say, perfect, let's go ahead and rebuild our database, and let's go ahead and set up our project again to make sure that we have everything that we had before, right? So that's one of the amazing things that you can do right now. This is just a very small taste. This is a very small taste of what you can do with the way that I have this set up in the workflow. There's a couple of other extra things that you can do, but with this alone, you can really go far and build a full-on project that you can present to somebody and really have a very strong MVP. So I invite you to do this. I invite you to implement it. I invite you to really understand how to use the Claude skills and be able to implement the instructions in your projects so you can truly have a project manager that's going to help you build. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, maybe a way that you're doing it that I'm not aware of, please let me know. I would love to hear it. See you in the next one. Boom. Oh. Was it? We done?
How about TDD? So I've gone back and forth on TDD. You're a very TDD fellow, right?
It is a discipline that I value.
Okay. Let me tell you my TDD success story. When I was a young fella, a long time ago, we had this app at a company called Web Filings, now known as Workiva, in which we had the original Flash app, in which people who are doing 10Ks and 10Qs, public quarterly reports, would do all their editing along with the spreadsheet where you could link values and all that, update your spreadsheet, boom. It flows through all your documents. All your documents are now up to date with your spreadsheets. Pretty nice. And so you could do a comment on a spot, and then someone could review it, change.
Fam, I want to thank you so much for your time today. I'm going to go ahead and put this on edit so we can get this going out the window. Thank you so much. Have a good one.